Fucking rapper, don't be singing nothing. This is for the hot that mama see my mama Cuba. Yeah, all the real OGs, I'm a soldier, cause you told me study. I'm a Bobby Huey. I'm a Bobby Huey. I'm a Bobby Huey. I'm reporting in the duty. It's Sticky Icky, yours truly.
This is the 30-minute question that we're gonna have to squeeze into 5 minutes. That's a huge hunk, and you know, I'm gonna trade it back and forth and dive in. The making of the song Malcolm Garvey Huey was done actually as we were building the Revolutionary Gangsta Grills album that we put out with DJ Drama. And so when we started, the idea actually came from my partner, Divine RBG from the Bronx, who, you know, the phenomenon in New York of this particular beat happened, and we wanted to put our RBG take on it. And it became Malcolm Garvey Huey that was introduced, and immediately we went right and introduced it to Stick, and then how it grew. But I want to say that Malcolm and Garvey Huey, for us, do represent different periods, and of course we know about Back to Africa, but just the international scope of what Garvey represented was the foundation of really the greatest part of the African liberation movement. And then you talked about Malcolm X before Huey P. Newton, like the civil rights movement, the break into the Black Power movement. Those two were like you know, it was the murder by the government of Malcolm that made Black Power rise up the way it did in Oakland, California, with Huey P. Newton. So we salute him, and we salute him in the song, and more of like a ode and like true hip hop, like you know what I mean, a ode to like real, because the way we stepping on the beat ain't no punk either. You know what I'm saying? Like the way we ride in the beat is because you got to be able to do that, because these other suckers will try to take the same song and turn it into some imperialist, colonialist. So we're going to explain our history, and I'm proud to be a part of it and educating our people using this tool. So shout out to our brothers and our brothers.
Uncle Sam ain't my friend. Look, it's politics time again. It's bullshit time again.
The question is, how do you explain to some black liberation movement that doesn't understand why you guys consider yourself as communists? So why is it important for you to get like the socialist topics in it? Not only we as black people have to get free, but we as capitalist oppressed people, together with other working class people, have to get free and have to fight colonialism.
Yeah.
To fight colonialism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that's the reality. You know, the reality is that we live in conditions that affect people across racial lines. You know, and that's something that we recognize from our study. And a revolutionary is a student. You know what I mean, and open-minded, and you know, seeks to make solidarity in the struggle. So that's just bottom line. But I think, you know, we're continuously progressing in our understanding, in our tactics, in our perspectives, and our analysis of the real world. And so the isms, you know, the communism and the socialism and the capitalism, these are things that describe phenomenons, right? But we're still open to develop strategies and concepts that can result in freedom, because none of these isms has produced freedom yet.
Right.
So we respect the basic principle of socialism because it's a communal concept. But we're not locked in the box of that in its expression, because, you know, there's corruption in all isms, and there's and it really, whatever the ism is, requires execution, you know, and you know, theory, practice, theory. You have an idea, you get out in the world and you attempt to manifest it, and you have to stay open enough to adjust until you get to the actual real world objective. So that's our philosophy, you know, is a way of no way. We know where we want to go, but we're not slaves to any particular path. You know, whatever's gonna get us there, genuinely, that's where we want to be on that road.
But if you a lie, there's no wolf cry, ain't it with a wild? I'm going with a bigger than come on, it's bigger than hip. Way bigger. The fuse up. Who shot Tupac? If we don't get them, they gon' get us all.
You have studied economics, I read somewhere, at university, both of you, or something like that?
Well, when I came to Florida A&M University in 1991, really it was the summer of 1990, yeah, around that time, around 1990, 1991, I got in it through the actuarial studies program. And actuarial studies is like people who do life insurance rates, who predict the future about how to, like, all that. And it's all math. So I came in there because I got a loop in the hole, and a dude from right up under the poverty level, right just beneath the poverty level, a kid from coming out right underneath that, came in the Florida A&M University and was trying to get my head right, and I followed any instinct that I did, and I did for about 2 seconds study economics. First it was business economics, and then it was economics, and then it was the school of the revolution. After that, after I realized I wasn't going to do that, I immediately went to the community that's connected to Tallahassee, and that's where I met Stic. He didn't even go to school in Florida A&M University. He just was running around getting what it had to offer in any way, hustling it. But I was there trying to, you know, and I ran into my partner, which was a fantastic happening, because I'm here today.
What was your question about economics?
Yeah, it was like, how did you get in conflict with other people that were studying economics? Because here in Germany, it is like people that study economics, they want to get businessmen, or they want to help enterprises or something like that. And I guess like you guys, you get in conflicts with the teachers and the other students. And my question would be, how did this studying affect your position as an artist? And do you guys got more like a working class mentality towards concert promoters or label bosses, or your political study? Because I know I understood that you guys studied outside of university, right?
Yeah, and I was going to add that not only did we study revolutionary political ideology, but I also have my own company. I have my own business, right? I don't find a contradiction in being an entrepreneur, right? And that's something you don't hear a lot about in like revolutionary doctrines and dogma. But I believe that that's very important in the state of the world that I live in, is to be responsible for your own daily needs as far as economic development, because the revolutionary process is a long development. And I felt like it would put me in a better position than being a wage worker, right? Where if I have the opportunity to create, have the means of production to create things that can influence what we want to see, that can offer those kind of services, and it could be a means of a livelihood in the meantime. So that's something that I learned from studying how capitalism works. I learned that from the street life, how dope gets sold and cut up and chopped and flipped and profits. I learned that from studying how records get sold, made for 10 cents, sold for, $10. I learned the game of that. And I feel like there's a balance. Even Marcus Garvey, was a leader in our movement, and one of the things he talked about was owning our own businesses, creating the services and the goods that we need as we build a greater movement. And a lot of times, certain revolutionary circles don't embrace that aspect. And so what you have is people don't have a system of self-sustainability. So I don't know if that sits well with the classic doctrines, but I know that makes sense in the world that I live in, and I'm happy to be a revolutionary entrepreneur, you know, and developing that to the fullest extent, so that I can feed my family and not compromise my message and my goals.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Salute.
Thank you.
It's real here, and it don't stop till we get the bubble off the block. They call it hit. What do they have? What do they hit? What do they have? What do they hit? What do they have? What do they hit? It's bigger than hit. Look at that high. Yeah, look at that high. Yeah, look at that high. Look at that hit. Come on, it's bigger than hit. Do it, do it, bang, do it, wow, do it. It's bigger than hit. What? Look at that hit. What? Look at that hit. What? For big empire. And Big Al, Dr. Rock, Zeddy Daniel, and Sean Bell, for Oscar Grant.
Y'all make some noise for Dead Prez!
Billy, thank you. I know you did a lot. I know it took a lot for you to make that happen.